understand how our kids are being impacted.
I think that she worded it pretty well, and she said we need to start somewhere. Let's start with race.
I understand.
Let's just go.
I'm just saying I think we need to start the other way. So that's all. And if that's not the majority of the board, that's fine, but I think we need to start on the other side.
Why does that convert? I'm saying I want to focus the policy on race, developing that, and however we're going to go about that, whether it's bottom up, and I don't mean whether, having a process, having stakeholders involved, but that I don't know why we can't, at our August, talk about diversity, race, religion, our LGBT community. You know, I think that can all encompass that, but I think where we need to focus the policy is first on race.
So maybe the collection of data is really important. After all.
Yeah, maybe the question would be for Cultures Connecting is the fact that, WASDA during this training did strongly suggest a race only. I mean, I think this is a good question to ask the facilitator. Okay, we're struggling with this. We were strongly suggested to have a policy focusing just on race, but we have this other concern about other groups in our community. So what, see what the facilitator comes with, that their experience might be able to lend us some guidance in getting back.
Also one more thing, the government focuses race as protected groups. So I think that's part of it too, where, though I'm not saying these other groups aren't protected, the federal government,
they are.
Oh, they are.
Sexual orientation is,
Yes. Oh, they're all.
Yeah. But I think it's been the experience in society that racism seems to be more institutionalized.
So what I'm hearing is that we will have a little bit broader training in August, and then we'll get some guidance from the facilitator on how to move forward and how to turn that into an actual policy. And I don't want to say, they didn't say address those others, they just said address it separately. So address race separately from the rest of it because of the history of inequities in our education system. So I think,
That makes sense.
am I hearing agreement on that we'll move forward on just a broader diversity discussion and training in August.
As a way to kick off.
Exactly.
The process of creating it.
And whether we can go those two routes simultaneously, it's possible, but starting with that conversation about a broader definition of diversity. So
that'll start in August.
that's when the trainer is coming to the district, yeah. But in the meantime, I think there's data to be collected, so so that will be happening before then.
And are we putting together a committee before then too?
Committee won't have anything to look at until we have data that.
When you say August, I'm interpreting you're talking about your August retreat as a board, not the ATM work we're doing, which should be a part of that certainly, or first part of that first day. But you're talking about specific work with the board as a group at your August retreat. Data, we're talking about discipline data.
Data that we already have that
Sure.
we just haven't looked at. Is that what the board is asking? All right. Any further thoughts on that before we move on to the next agenda item? All right. Next item on the agenda is board reports and communications, future agenda items. And I'll just note, Kimberly, the one that you asked about is coming up coincidentally as a policy review in the near future.
Which one was that?
That was on science teachers and,
Oh, yes. Okay,
and
perfect.
PTA is raising money and so.
And it's an actual policy review.
It's a policy review. It'll come to us in a briefing first, and then it will be the usual 2 readings.
Okay.
Anything else?
Will we be reviewing the whistleblower policy? When is that up for review? And I think I'd like to add that.
So we updated the procedure on that one. It's in the personnel series, which is, I need to look at the schedule to see exactly when that's up for formal review again. But we did update the procedure on that one. Let me find it here. Correct. Basically to do something similar to the citizens complaint policy to separate if the subject of the complaint is the superintendent, how that is handled. And so that's been updated within the procedure. It wasn't recommended by legal counsel that there was any need to update the policy, that it just the procedure needed to be done. I can't find that right now. It's in the 5,000. Oh, here we go. So I can put that policy in the briefing for folks to take a look at.
And the procedure attached to it, please.
Okay.
One of the things that, and I'd also like to know more about is that we don't seem to have a real updated, even WASDA doesn't have a real updated policy on whistleblower policies. I'd also like to see what that looks like in other industries other than education. That's something that the audit committee talked about today, that it does look different, for instance, with state agencies as opposed to local agencies. In the meeting, as you recall earlier in the meeting, in this meeting, I said that the district can go above and beyond current policies to be better, was the comment that the audit committee made. I think that one of the things that is missing in our policies is a follow-up, where the board is made aware of what actions were taken in terms of whistleblower activities, or even getting a report of whistleblower activities.
Trying to think of any that have surfaced. I mean, if it's something that it's, gets into an investigative realm, you get your confidential updates on a monthly or however often they come to you about ongoing employee issues or legal issues or grievances or those kinds of actions, so they'd be covered in there. I'm trying to think of any that have fallen into this one during my tenure in the district. I have to think about that a little bit. I'm not saying that they're not being reported to you. I'm saying that I don't know that there's been anything to report that I can recall.
I think it ought to be in policy or procedure somewhere that we do get those reports.
I'll have to investigate that. I'm just drawing a blank, thinking of any for instances over the past 7 years.
Me too. Can't think of it. We get our legal updates regularly, and I can't think of anything like that on there. So those will be in the briefing. Any other requests?
Was the conversations with the board, I just want to clarify, that the one coming up, is that just a Hispanic conversations with the board now? Because I thought we talked about doing the East Indian community. So
No,
I just want to clarify because people are asking me, so I want to let them know.
It is Latino,
Okay.
we will have interpreters there. I
Okay.
think what I said that maybe I didn't state clearly is that Leanna is looking about ways to reach out to the top 5, the greatest concentration of population.
I'm having a lot of people, I probably misspoke, I apologize, because I thought it was both, and I said I'd be getting them that date. So I think I got it mixed up, but for the future, that might be what, and they were very excited about it, many different people that had asked me. So we might want to think about that as we talk about it in our study session. That could be something we talk about for next year.
We have had some at most of the meetings that we've already had. The advantage they have is that they speak English. And I think our goal in reaching out to the Latino community was the language barrier was maybe a problem, but certainly if we have an opportunity to invite more people in, we want to do that.
I will clarify.
Yeah, it is. I know that there will be an interpreter at each circle that's designed specifically for the Latino community.
And I know that our at least the legislatures, I talked to Luis and Rosemary, wanted to attend the conversations with the board, or at least be notified of that for the Hispanic community. So I'm gonna let them know, but I don't know if you wanted to send out, or if we wanted to send out more of a formal invitation to all, to the 45th and the 1st, just to let them know that we are doing this. And they were very interested that we were doing it in a positive way, like really happy about it. So both Luis and Rosemary, they had talked to Derek about it. Okay, so send it out to everybody. And that's next Tuesday,
It's the
right?
19th, yep,
Okay.
next Tuesday. All right, seeing nothing further, we'll move on to the next, which is board reports. And we'll start with Sandy.
Okay, so the 2 big events over the last 2 weeks is, along with Director Cast, went out to Monroe to the, I don't know what region number there are, but there aren't a typical region that we go to, but they were much closer than Tacoma and did not happen during spring break. So we were, it was a good opportunity to meet with some different districts. We were able to sit at a table with Everett, Mukilteo, and Monroe, which was very handy, all neighbors of ours and similar logistical issues that they were facing. Certainly had some good conversations with Everett with their growth issues that just right across the border from us, and how they're doing that. They did share with us that they are not going to do another bond, but they're just going to muddle through with that. So that was kind of sad. But I focused on the legislative information that we received. There was sort of a general consensus that the legislature was not going to get done in this special session, that it was more likely indeed